Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hello and welcome. I am Dan, your friendly fit. We're off to a great start. Your friendly fishmonger. There we go. At dansfish.com. Thanks for joining us and spending a little bit of your Wednesday evening here. We are going to start off with our shipping report. After that, we're going to do a giveaway. Then I have a cornucopia, a plethora of new fish to show you. After that, we'll get your questions and comments and just kind of geek out about fish, have a nice discussion. So that's the docket for the day. Yeah, let's go ahead and start with our shipping report. So Random Arms, aka Jonathan, who formulates our percentage for the year, it's not yet been able to get to our shipping report to give us the 12-month running total because we've been working on this. This is a machine that is going to make labeling our bags much quicker and easier. Right now we spend about 12 man-hours a week just taking labels and putting them on bags. Printed labels, putting them on bags. So when we send the fish to you, you know what's in the bag. Well, this little doodad prints directly on the bag, which is pretty cool. And this is small print. This was just a quick test. We can make the print bigger than that. So now instead of taking the time to print all the labels and then take the labels and stick them on all the bags and then finally put water in the bags so we can put fish in them, this machine here is supposed to print directly on the bags. So Jonathan's been working getting that all set up. He just ran off to get something to eat, and when he's back he'll continue setting that up. So we'll probably have to move that briefly while he's here. But anyway, that's why I hasn't got to the shipping report percentage, which is kind of a bummer because this is the one where it's supposed to be really good. We had a big disaster about 12 months ago shipping wise, and that's going to drop off the 12-month running total, I think today, if not next week for sure. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you point by point the fish that we lost since in our shipping days last Wednesday and this Monday. So the 24th and 29th. If we send our fish out on the 24th or the 29th, then as far as I know, as of an hour ago, let's say, or so, here are the losses we experienced. One Pseudomugil luminatus. Oh, that's funny. Jonathan just jumped on. I see a highlighted cell on the Google sheet that we share back and forth to get the shipping report. Anyway, one luminatus arrived DOA. Two Coletti tetras, sorry Xanadu, arrived okay, but passed away shortly after, so maybe didn't arrive in great shape. One blue flame episto arrived skinny and lethargic, probably the least dominant male. That one is probably on us. That one arrived, but was, again, skinny and lethargic. We probably shouldn't have sent that fish. If that was a nice, robust blue flame episto, I bet that would have been okay. What we should have done is waited for that guy to fatten up and strengthen up for a week or so and then listed it for sale. So of the losses that I can see here, I think that one's clearly our fault. So we'll take steps to try to make sure that doesn't happen in the future. And then there were two Alestoptericius, I think is how you say it, Burchardi Reds, that got delayed, I believe in like Michigan or something, and therefore did not make the trip. So what is that? That's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fish that arrived DOA or didn't arrive in good enough shape to thrive, that we shipped out either last Wednesday or this Monday of this week. Now, I don't know the exact percentage, but I know that we shipped a lot of fish, and so that is way less than 1% of the fish that were sent out. So that's the good news. Our goal is to have a 99% success rate, and we work really hard to make that happen. Every now and then we miss something, like that blue flame a pisto, I bet we should have just been like, hey, that guy's kind of the runt of the litter, if you will, or the least dominant male. Let's not sell him yet. Let's give him a week or two to fatten up. That's something we should have done. We just missed. So every now and then we make a mistake. In other cases, it's something completely out of our control. Once they're handed to the carrier, we can't control if they're delayed or what have you. Those delays are few. Percentage-wise, it's very low, and the losses are very low too, because we do pack the fish so that if they are delayed, they have a really good shot of making it alive and healthy anyway. But it's not a perfect business, but we were within our goal this last week. Less than 1% of problems, or the positive way to put that is 99% or greater success. So my condolences to those whose shipments did not go well, those few. And if, by the way, if you were sent a fish out Wednesday of last week or Monday of this week, and you reported a loss up till about an hour ago, and I did not include it, please call me out. We're trying to be transparent here. We're trying to be honest. And one of the ways that people can know that we're actually doing what we say we do is if you guys police that. So I would actually, believe it or not, I would actually appreciate it if you reported a loss from, again, just the shipment that went out last Wednesday. What was that? The 22nd? Sorry, no, the 24th. If your shipment went out actually the 23rd, the 24th, or the 29th, if we sent it that day, then it should be in this report. Yeah. So that's, I guess that might have sounded negative the way I dug into that, but less than 1% losses is really good. That's our goal. That's what we're trying to do. So it's always a bummer when a fish doesn't make it, and there could be myriad reasons for that. But less than 1%, that's where we want to be. All right, let's get to the giveaway, something fun. The giveaway for today is a fish that a lot of us know pretty well, I think. It's not rare or anything, but it sure is unique. It's the Kuhli Loach. Little aquatic worms, basically. Little aquatic eels, maybe. Really neat little fish. I think they're a blast. They're colorful. They're gregarious. If you get a big group of them, then you'll see them a lot more often. Otherwise, they're more nocturnal. Well, they are more nocturnal. But if you get a big group of them, then they become a lot less shy. And they do learn about feeding time. They will come out and just mob the food. There's this wiggly line of spaghetti eating the food. I think they're fantastic. They don't get very big, and they aren't big around. So a lot of fish can slurp these up like spaghetti. So make sure that tank mates are appropriately sized. But besides that, they can be kept with pretty much anything that is of appropriate size and is peaceful in nature. These are very peaceful fish. We'll send you a group. We'll send you at least 6, at least a box worth. And if you're interested in getting a little group of Kuhli Loaches, then you can enter the giveaway by typing #Loach. I know it's not very inventive, but I do try to make these simple. #LOACH, no spaces, capitalization does not matter. And if you enter that, then you will get entered into the giveaway. Let me just take one moment while you guys are doing that to contact Jonathan. Oh, that's funny. So that box, that text box that was showing up on the spreadsheet we tracked this on, I don't know if you can read that, but it says it's Johnny, not Jonathan. Oh, that's hilarious. All right. Okay, folks are piling in to the giveaway. That's good. Just one thing with this fish that I guess I should have mentioned earlier. They are escape artists. If you have like an overflow or something, or some kind of weir or bulkhead or sump filter, you need to be very careful that the spaces are small enough that this loach can't squiggle through them and escape or get harmed. They can squeeze through tiny little holes. So that's something to be aware of. If you run a sump, you need to be able to have some kind of like, well, I guess I'll plug the Aquarium Co-op. They're pre-sponge filters. Those are great for covering a an outlet, an overflow to a sump. You can get those little screens, but if you look carefully on those screens, let me see if I can find this. A bulkhead screen, overflow screen. I want to show you this. If I can't show it to you, aha. Let's see here. On some brands, it's kind of a flaw on some of these. Let's see if I can find one that easily shows. Yeah. So if you look here, this one doesn't readily show it, but often this bottom, let me get the mouse over there. That's kind of annoying. This bottom plastic piece here is often missing in a lot of brands. So this bottom opening can be twice as big as these openings often. And when that happens, you'll look at it and you'll see these and be like, oh, that's fine, without noticing there's a bigger gap here. And you might have an issue with Kuhli loaches and other fish like that squiggling out of this gap down at the bottom. So check your overflow screens. And if you have that, then you'll probably want to put a sponge over it. That's what we have to do here. Unfortunately, all of ours have that big gap at the bottom. We didn't know they would have that till they all arrived, and we're like, oh, great. So something we deal with on the daily. Okay, with that, I think we'll get to showing you some neat fish. Then after that, we'll get to discussion. So here are some fish that, well, let's see here. How do I want to do this? Got a lot of them. Yeah, we'll start with these. So the one and only Rick May, who is an amazing fish breeder. He's a hobbyist who breeds lots of fish, and we're able to source several of our species from him, at least several times a year. I would say 4 to 6 times a year. We're able to source a bunch of really nice fish from Rick. He's our area's dean, if you will. He brought up a whole bunch of orange Venezuelan cories. Now, if you like corridors and you want some color and you don't want to break the bank, then the orange Venezuelan cory is on the higher price tag of your cheaper cories, I would say. Anywhere from $9.99 up to, say, $15, somewhere in that range, depending on the source, depending on the size and the quality. And they're gorgeous. Beautiful little cory, just as peaceful and easy to keep as a standard Corydoras aeneas, and easy to breed too, not a problem to breed. And they have a lot of the color that we want in our expensive fish like an equus or something like that, a green laser, without the high price tag. So this is a very nice fish if you like Corydoras. Another cory I really like is Corydoras similis. Rick has bred and raised a nice group of these that are brought up. They're called the smudge spot or the violet cory because of this kind of smudge, sooty spot on the back of the fish here, where all the dots kind of coalesce into one blotch. And they have a violet sheen to that under some lighting. This kind of shows it. And so sometimes they're called the violet cory. Oh, this person really put the blue filters on to try to make it violet. I can tell by looking at the glass. Or maybe it's just under blue light. But nice little cory. Nanocara anomala, if you want a peaceful dwarf cichlid that is not super common, then these guys are amazing. I think these are absolutely beautiful, neat fish. And Rick brought us a nice group of those, along with some Aspidor spilotus. These are the zippiest little cories ever. They have high energy, they're gregarious, they're always swimming around, a lot of activity, and they're basically a cory. So in the Corydoras group, there are 9 different, I don't know if you call them tribes, we call them lineages. And these belong to one of those lineages, and all the fish, all of these lineages are eventually going to get renamed. So pretty soon there'll only be 1/9 of the Corydoras species. That's already happened to Brocus, to Aspidoris, to, I believe Brocus was in that. I could be wrong about that, but I believe so. To, Scleromystics, and I believe a couple others that have been identified and split off. But they're pretty much all Corydoras, and I truly believe that the reason that this fish is not more popular, because it's an absolutely delightful, small, they don't get real big, and they're super zippy, delightful Cory, hardy, and super easy to breed. The reason why I think they are perhaps not as popular as some of the other Corys is simply because they're called Aspidoris. That's the genus name. I think if they were called Corydoras spilotus, suddenly they would be much more popular, just because people are more familiar with Corys than Aspidoris. But don't be fooled by the genus name. These are Corys as much as almost any other Cory is a Cory. Okay, Amatitalania nanolutea, just a gorgeous, gorgeous little dwarf cichlid. Celestial Pearl Danios. Rick is my favorite source for this because he breeds nice, robust, fat ones. When we import these, or when anyone imports these, let's just put it this way, the supply chain does not treat Celestial Pearl Danios very well. So I love getting them from hobbyist breeders like Rick when I can, because it's just a much more humane way to source fish, and they come in much better shape. Apistogramma McMasteri Gold Red Shoulder. Rick bought a few of ours, one of our earlier batches that we had, and he bred a bunch of them. So now we have more of them. He also bought and bred several of our Super Red Crebensis. This is just as hardy and stuff as Pelvicochromis pulcher. In fact, it might actually be Pelvicochromis pulcher. I'm not quite sure, but it truly does have a lot more red on it. So Super Red is an apt name for these guys. Once they get that color in, they're really stunning. It can take a little while to develop, but once it develops, it's a pretty fish. And then Apistogramma agassiziis. These are the fire reds. Something I really... Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I'm on to a new batch. These are not ones Rick bred. This is a new batch. So I moved to a new supplier. We have some Agassizii fire reds. What I like about these is when they get this deep maroon red across the back, that's when you know a male is fired up and feeling frisky. Okay, there's another group of fish that we got in. By the way, all of these are going to be listed over the next couple of days. Hopefully by the end of tomorrow, all the ones that are looking good now that quarantine period's about done will be listed. Sometimes it takes a little while because there's a lot of fish and only one Johnny, but we're getting to them as quick as we can. So keep an eye out over the next couple of days for all the fish I'm talking about tonight. All right. Hephaesobrychon epicaris. I brought this one in because it was new to me. I had never seen it or heard of it before and never had it available before, so I brought it in. I tend to do that when I find, a new, rare, interesting tetra. So I don't know much about them at all yet, other than we've got some. Clown plecos, really cool little pleco, not a really high price tag, and a lot of color and personality. These are a Panoculus species, so they will appreciate some wood in the aquarium to chew on. They'll also eat algae wafers, and I don't know, we feed ours algae wafers. We also feed them extreme monster pellets. We have wood in every tank, though, with Panoculus, so that's pretty important. And you can feed Rapashi morning wood. If you don't have wood, that can help with that. We also give them zucchini and some other veggies. Finally, we got in a really good group of Crenocycla ji. We had a group before, but they had an untreatable external parasite. Not contagious, I don't think. I think it was one of those that a bird would have to eat the fish in order for the parasite to continue on in its life cycle. They were like an encysted, encapsulated thing that was in a dormant stage. But this group that we've got in, we haven't noticed any parasites at all. They came in fat and sassy and in great shape. More gold roseline barbs, one of my favorite fish. We have a long article about these if you want to know more about this fish. If you go to Dan's Fish and scroll to the bottom, view previous newsletters, there is quite a detailed article down here on the gold roseline barbs that you have access to. And we talk about them and their color forms and a couple things to be aware of genetically with this fish. So if that's a fish you're interested in, I would highly recommend you read that. We have rummy nose tetras that came in. This is one we always try to keep in stock. We have the regulars and the platinum rummy nose. And we still have, every now and then, an issue with these. But in general, we're doing really well with this fish. This is a fish that has a reputation for being delicate because it's usually not sourced properly. And we have worked with some suppliers to get them sourced pretty darn properly. There's occasionally a snafu, but we do a really good job with this fish. So if you like rummy nose tetras and have given up in the past because you had consistent bad luck, I would encourage you to give us a try. And if it doesn't work out, I'll guarantee them 100%. If they arrive dead or in poor shape or you have issues, I'll refund the fish and the shipping associated with the fish. We do that for every fish we sell, including the rummy nose tetras. Yellow rabbit snails. I just think these are delightful. I think they look like something out of Star Wars. They just kind of that giraffe neck and that long kind of proboscis nose type mouthy feature on the front and the long antennae. I just think that these are amazing, amazing looking creatures. They're so cool for a snail. Did I snail it? Saboa resplendens, the rummy nose rasbora, such a pretty fish. And you look at a fish like this and you automatically almost think, hey, that needs soft acidic black water. But these don't. These come from Lake Inle, and it is an area that has pretty hard alkaline water. So they're going to do fine for you in your tap water across most of the United States. Most people in the United States naturally have hard alkaline water, and that's what these guys are going to want. So makes it easy. Okay, gastromyzon, how do you say that? Silotron, that's what I'm going to say. I don't have a picture of these to show you because there is no picture on the internet I could find of these. These are a very rare species in the hobby. I was able to get my hands on a group of them, so I brought them in. Anytime I find a hillstream loach that I know is rare or haven't seen before or know is not commonly available in the hobby, I try to bring them in because that's one of the groups of fish that I think is amazing, and we have access to so few of them. They come in so many patterns and in color variants. It's almost like L number plecos. Once we finally have access to them, it's going to be a storm, just like the L number plecos. They're that variant, and there's that many different unique ones. Dwarf chain loaches. If you have snails, a group of these is going to do you right. And they don't get too big. We're talking 2.5-ish inches. So you're not going to end up with big old loaches like you can if you get clown loaches or some of the others. And they have a fairly peaceful attitude. So they're a great option for an aquarium if you have a snail problem. Or if you just like active, cool looking loaches. Forget the snails. They're just neat in their own right. Okay, licorice gouramis. Dysonari, the species that ours came in labeled as, is a highly, highly endangered licorice gourami. Its habitat is just about gone, unfortunately. And that's what's happening to these licorice gouramis. It's not like they're being over-collected for the pet trade. Their habitats are just being destroyed. In this case, according to my source, it's palm oil plantations are going in. And so I doubt the ones I have are actually Dysonari. That would be highly unlikely. But whether they are or not, this is what they look like. So they look like this fish. I just don't know for sure exactly what their true scientific name is, since Dysonari is probably unlikely due to its rarity. Okay, Denison barbs, Sahyadra denisoni, just a beautiful, awesome looking barb. I'm going to just real quick, check back and make sure people aren't saying they can't hear me and can't see me. Nope, I don't see any of that. Okay, good. Let me get back to it then. Since I'm on another screen, I couldn't see that. It would kind of be a bummer if I'd gone for half an hour and everyone's like, well, we didn't hear any of that. Ember tetras. Just a beautiful little tetra. A true dwarf. These are small little guys, and they're pretty. So if you like little dwarf tetras, you're probably familiar with these. Got more in. Yo-yo loaches, we've been out for a while, and we've had a surprising number of requests for this fish. This is one I was hesitant to bring in because I didn't think it would sell. These you can find for dirt cheap at a lot of fish stores. Ours are more expensive because of how we source them, so I didn't think people would be willing to pay that price differential. But people have noticed the difference. They appreciate the nice, healthy fish we're bringing in and the humane way we're doing it. And we sold these really well, and we have a lot of requests for more. So I did bring some more in. Empire gudgeons. I know, you look at this and you're like, there's no way that fish looks that good. I'm here to tell you it looks better than that when it colors up. These are just absolutely stunning fish. Oh, here's a picture we got. This is a small little male. He's not even fully grown yet, and that's how much color he had. And that is not a lie. They are just absolutely fiery. Now, you do have to be patient. It takes a while for them to develop that color. And you have to also realize that the females, although they'll get some color, let me see if I can find. Like, is that a female? That's probably a young male. Hang on, I thought I saw one. Okay, something like that. That might be a young male. That could also be a female. And it's hard to tell. So the females don't get nearly as much color. They get some color and they get some neat patterns in their fins, but not nearly as much as the males. And until they fire up, when they're young adults, it's pretty hard to tell the difference. So do be aware of that. Electric blue jack Dempsey's, just one of my favorite cichlids. I just think they're so gorgeous. We have a nice healthy group and we have a good supplier of these. These have a reputation for being really delicate. They're not delicate if they're sourced responsibly. I guarantee you they're going to do well for you if you get some from this batch. We have a good source, they don't overpack them, and they come in nice and healthy. Another stunning fish is the electric blue Acara. I've had a group of these that I kept for years, and I just loved them. Corydorus duplicarius, nice healthy batch. I'm thrilled to tell you they're doing wonderfully. I can't find a picture of this, but we brought in a new variety of veil-tail swordtail, and it looks like this. It looks like your standard pineapple. I don't want to say standard. It looks like the pineapple swordtails we've had in before, or the oranges we've had before, but it's white. So it's the white veil-tail or platinum veil-tail, depending on who you talk to. So just another flavor of that. So far we've got the white or platinum. We've got this one that we're seeing here, which is the pineapple. And we also had some orange, which came in, yeah, these guys, which came in looking really nice. So we're trying to get more. They're few and far between. Only the females develop the big veil tails, but I believe all that we have is females. So you will be getting the nice veil tails. We have some Japan blue double swords, and they look kind of like this, but the swords are longer and better developed, especially on the bottom. So I was having trouble finding a picture, maybe kind of like that if it didn't have the gold. Although on this one, the top sword is nice and long as well. So I'm having trouble finding a really good, oh, here you go. I think that's a pretty good reputation. Although do keep in mind, they took a picture of the best fish of the batch. This top sword on several of ours is kind of shorter, but I think with time that's going to grow out. I just think it takes some time and maturity for that to happen. Speaking of guppies, we've had requests for this repeatedly. We finally got a small batch of green dragon guppies. A lot of us know this, the red dragon guppy. Shout out to Michael's Fish Room. If you're looking for guppies, we're not the only people. Michael also has some guppies. Those are the reds, but we've also got the greens, which I was going to say, that's the best picture of them. That's ours. When I say the best, I'm looking at the most accurate. Like, I feel like this one was saturated with a blue filter. It's more blue than green. This one kind of shows the green in the tail, I hope. Okay, just a couple more, and then we'll get to questions and comments and the rest of the stream here. Okay, albino full red glass short tail big dorsals. Whew, it's quite a nameful, but this is what they look like. Nice big full red dorsal, a lot of red on the body, and then the back bit of the body and the tail is glass. You can see right through them. I think they look absolutely different than anything I've seen before. Oh, here's a good picture. Yeah, they got the dorsal in full flare. Good job on them. They're so different than anything else I've seen that they've quickly become one of my favorites just because they're so unique. Dwarf golden barb, if you like barbs but don't like aggression, this is a good fish for you. Super peaceful. In fact, peaceful to the point that they're easily outcompeted by other fish at feeding time. So make sure you keep them with small, peaceful fish that don't mob the food too badly, and these guys will do well for you. Toothpick fish. Like, how could you say that's not one of the most unique fish ever? It's like a pipefish and a crocodile had a baby, I guess. We feed ours mostly on frozen live baby brine shrimp, but they'll also take frozen foods. You're not going to get them eating dry prepared foods. Electric blue balloon rams. That's right, balloons. Now, this was an accident. I ordered electric blue rams. I did not order balloon rams, but they sent me balloon rams. So if you like balloon rams, this might be your only opportunity to get the electric blue ram from me because it's not a fish I usually carry. Now, the batch is doing perfect. They're fat and sassy. Well, they're balloons. Of course, they're fat and sassy. They're healthy. We haven't had any issues with the batch. I don't think there's been a single loss. So if you like these, we've got some. And by the way, I don't think there's anything inhumane about this fish. There are some balloon fish that I'm like, ooh, that took it a step too far. That like a balloon rainbow fish, that makes my skin crawl a little bit. These, though, seem to be perfectly happy. They seem to swim normally. They're feisty. They look like they're having a perfectly good life in their balloon form. So I don't think there's anything inhumane about these. And then some silver sailfin mollies. Hey, there's a picture of our previous batch from the same breeder. Nice, beautiful fish. These are going to need a little longer, though. I think they might have got some exposure to ammonia and shipping. That's kind of what they're acting like. They've been through their parasite meds, but I think they're going to need some help getting over ammonia toxicity. Now, that being said, they did not pack very many per bag. They did a good job shipping them, but from what I'm seeing, that's what it reminds me of. Now, maybe it's something else. Maybe they just haven't quite gotten over their treatments with their dewormers and such. I'm not sure. But they need a little more time is the bottom line before I feel like they'll be ready to sell. So that right there is a look at a whole bunch of new fish. And we have 447 people watching. So I guess people didn't hate that. That's a good number of viewers for us. Thanks for being here, folks. Thanks for watching. We'll now get to your questions and comments. But first, I want to thank my moderators for being here and doing what they do. Thanks for showing up every week, volunteering your time to make sure that the chat goes well. I really, really appreciate you. And I know I say it every week in kind of more or less the same language. So It's just because I don't know how else to say it. So please understand, although it might sound repetitive, it's not by rote. It's true every time. I really appreciate you guys. Let's get to some member action. Andy Hawkins, welcome to the Fishmonger crew. Thanks for joining up. Thanks for becoming a member of the Dance Fish channel. Much appreciated. Kelly Foreman, here's my shipping report. I've ordered 346 fish, and all 346 have arrived alive. My streak continues. Woo! Awesome, Kelly. Thanks for being such a good customer and supporter and friend. We really appreciate you. And I'm glad to hear that they're all doing, that the shipping was successful on every fish you've ordered. That's great. Mountaintop Puffer Keeper is joined up as well. Welcome, Matthew. Welcome to the Fishmonger crew. All right, I'm now getting to questions and comments. If you're new here, what I'm going to look for as I scroll down is these bright orange boxes. And those appear if you type the @DanceFish symbol or type in DanceFish or #DanceFish and select from the pop-up menu, then a bright orange box will appear. That way I know it's directed at me. All this stuff in between, I assume, is just friends talking among themselves in the chat and having a good old time. So I'm going to scroll up as far as I can and get to the first one I can see, which is Jeff Pelham Aquatic says, I love shopping at DanceFish. Well, Jeff, I love that you love shopping at DanceFish because it is such a privilege to be able to do this every day. Like, I am excited to get to work every day. Sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes it's been a long week. Sometimes there's stressful situations. But I'm always glad I get to go in the morning and do this for a living. It's just fantastic. And we're seeing slowly, we're seeing the changes in the industry that we're trying to make. I think I mentioned last week that one of our suppliers, who supplies not just us, but fish stores all over the nation, a rather big supplier of aquarium fish. We've been working with them for really actively on trying to improve the supply chain for, I don't know, a year and a half or 2 years. And they've made great strides. And in fact, and the reason I was excited last week is because I got an email from them that said basically, hey, thanks for all your work with us. We're now doing these things that we do for you to make sure that are up to your standards and your spec. We're now doing that for all the fish we're shipping out, and our mortality rates are like so much lower. So until that point, we basically influenced in onesies and twosies as people have watched our videos or received fish from us and saw there's another way to do it, and got to know us and how we operate. This was the first time that a major player, and there's individual suppliers and breeders and collectors and stuff all over the world that also have kind of leaned in and been willing to treat the fish more humanely for us. But this was the first kind of major supplier that was like, yeah, we're doing this and we're seeing the benefits, so we're going to keep doing it. And that felt really good. So Jeff, thanks for shopping at DanceFish so we can keep doing that and make the movement even bigger, because the fish deserve it. We need to do it. Also, if we don't, we're going to get regulated out of existence. This is an existential crisis. If we don't self-regulate and make sure we're treating fish humanely, then there are plenty of animal rights activists and others who will be like, nope, and will put pressure on politicians, and regulations will be passed due to that pressure that make it difficult to impossible for us to keep fish, to do what we love, to do the thing that, for me, makes life worth living in a lot of ways. So I think it's more than just the right thing to do. I think it's a necessary thing to do, and that if we don't do it, we're gonna wake up one day and be like, I can't buy fish anymore. What's going on? So it's important that it spread. It's important that it go industry-wide. Evergreen Psych. Are corridors Venezuelans geographically and genetically distinct from the Aeneas, or are they descended bred from them? It's a good question. There is a fish. Oh, what's the C number, CW number? So I don't know exactly, and I don't know anyone that really does. I think, so There are Aeneas all over South America. The real ones come from Trinidad. But there are Aeneas in tons of different river systems all throughout South America. It's a very successful, adaptable, kind of generic cory that can exist in a lot of different environments. And so a lot of Aeneas are not actually Aeneas. They might look like them. They're probably very closely related to them. They might be in the same lineage even oftentimes, but they're often not the same species. So I think that Corydoras venezuelanus is probably in the same lineage as Aeneas, but I don't know much more than that. I don't know their exact wild location. Now I do know that since we've got them, there have been lots of hobbyists and producers who've tried to breed them and accentuate that nice orange color, but it's also natural. And there is a C or CW number Corydoras that looks exactly like the orange venezuelanus. So that might be the progenitor of all the orange venezuelanus. Now, so I've seen a lot of debate on whether they actually exist in the wild, the Corydoras venezuelanus, or if they're a species that was created in aquariums and is a hybrid of different forms that became this thing. I've seen lots of different speculation. And I dug into it once, but it's been so long that I don't remember the exact details on what was decided. They do have their own scientific name, though, I think. I think it's a valid name. Let's look that up. On a government site, ITIS standard report page. Okay, let's look up Corydoras venezuelanus and see if it is in fact a valid distinct species. At least as far as science understands it now. Now, keep in mind, even the ichthyologists don't agree half the time. So just because something is a real species doesn't mean that won't change tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to put in venezuelanus. Venezuelanus. I want to make sure I spelled that correctly. I think I did. And we'll search for it. Okay, I don't see that. No records found. Corydoras venezuelanus. Well, I can't find any official name that matches that. Corydoras Aeneas. Let's try Corydoras Aeneas just to make sure it can find a core. Yeah, it can find Corydoras Aeneas with lickety split, no problem. But it cannot find venezuelanus. So that might just be a hobbyist's name, not something that's actually firmly codified yet in the scientific literature. I don't really know for sure. So how's that as a long, long way of saying I have no idea? There you go. That's what I should have said. All right, Jacob Metzner. Hey, Jacob, I hope you're doing well. Hey, Dan, I'm thinking your next live stream background, you should do an all-electric bluefish tank raise. Best regards. So Johnny and I are actually looking right now at the tank with the electric blue jack Dempseys and archers and other stuff in it. And our plan is to make another video for a new background that would feature that tank with those fish. We've just got to find the time. As you can tell by the amount of hair on my face, I haven't had a lot of time lately. I never mean to grow a beard. I just run out of time to shave, basically, is what happens. So if you ever see me with beard coming in, you know it's been busy. Steen Fod Aquatics, thank you, Dan. We love you. Hey, right back at you in Chelsea. You're very welcome. Yeah, congratulations, man. Yeah. Happy to be your friend. Stephen P. 2003 Aquatics gifted 5 Dance Fish memberships. Speaking of which, another person who I'm happy to be their friend. Stephen, thank you so much. Appreciate it, not Stefan. Matt Deemer, can you share how the iridescence reflective scales on the blue coral calico platies look in person? In some photos they look whitish, and in some videos they look very vivid with blues. Let me see if I can find a picture that I look at and I'm like, yeah, that's an accurate depiction. Now keep in mind, lighting's going to play a big role in this. I think these pictures are pretty accurate. I think that's pretty accurate right there. I'd say they gesture more towards the top fish generally than the bottom fish. That's a pretty accurate picture too. So this one looks more wide up here, but what you're seeing there is reflection. So much light concentrated there that it's canceling out the color on the fish. So a lot of it has to do with lighting. Whereas this one, you can see how it's bright there, but not so bright that it's washing out all the blue. So when you get to iridescent, shiny fish, it's very difficult to get pictures that really show the fish, because what the camera picks up on a lot is the iridescence. But yeah, I'd say all those are correct. We're just looking at camera issues. But yeah, they really do have blue. Like, it's no joke. They're blue fish. I don't know what this is regarding, but I just saw that L's Fish Tanks said to Passing Wind, you should probably quit drinking. I don't think that's going to happen. Plus, where would we be without Passing Wind shenanigans? Total dissolved salamanders, TDS. Love it. Did you see the FWS news about beta rudolins and beta hendra? Looks like they are going to be listed under ESA, the Endangered Species Act. I did not see that. Well, do you know how soon total dissolved salamanders that's going to be? Or can you send me a link? That would be awesome. If you could send us a link to our email, hello@dancefish.com. That's HELLO@dancefish.com. I would like to know if that's going to happen, because I know a person that I can get those from. And if that's true, then maybe I'll bring in some before that goes into effect. Hopefully we can pass them around and get more bred in captivity in our aquarium, so that even if that happens, we can still have access to them. Van Dusen, do you have any thoughts on using black diamond medium blasting sand as substrate, 75-gallon electric blue cars, Colombian tetras, bristlenose? Thanks. I think it would look kind of amazing. I've never tried it. I've never used that sand. So I don't know. I assume it's water stable and not going to leach a bunch of stuff into your water, but I don't know that sand myself. What's a rare variant of hillstream loach? Asked Kyle. It's not so much variant as different species. So here's one that I was looking at earlier today that I have access to and was wondering if I should bring in or not. It's got, where's a good picture? They're all tiny, these pictures. So this is a species that, there you go, has these nice kind of black margins around these lemon yellow fins with these bold stripes. Pseudogastromyzon fasciatus. I think that's a really cool looking one. This is one I've had before, Lepidogaster. It's an absolutely stunning fish. Look at this kind of iridescent red on the body. So the body is an iridescent red color and the fins are kind of dark, almost a black color. So that is absolutely beautiful. There's a lot of them. I like this one. I've had this one before. Here's a picture. Oh, here's a picture of the ones we had. Yeah. But here's a picture. So here's the picture I was able to snap. But here's a picture of them in display. Look at this bold striping, beautiful margins on the fins. And that's just a small taste. There are many, many, many different hillstream loaches that you've probably never seen. And they're I'd love to bring more of them in, but I have to find the right supplier who who does it right by the fish and by me. Are you planning on bringing in any more Phenacogrammus fantastique? They sold out fast. So, oh, for those that don't know this fish, look at this thing. This is stunning. I remember the first time I saw a picture of this. I believe it was in Amazonas magazine, and it blew my mind. Look at these guys. Like, where's a good picture of them? Here you go. I'll show you the extension and the nice reds. Oh, that's really pretty. I don't know if there's any Photoshop going on there, but that's a beautiful fish. How pretty have I seen them in person? In person, I've seen them, it's not real clear, but I've seen them this pretty in person, where you see the reds coming in. Oh, am I not showing these? Sorry. These right here. It's a blurry picture, but you can see the reds in there. Here's one where the color isn't showing great, but you can see at least the extension and what the fish kind of looks like. And then that's a really nice shot. I've never seen them quite that red, but I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it at all that they get as pretty as these. Really nice fish. And no, I don't have any plans to bring any more in the foreseeable future. And the reason is the only places that we can get them don't treat the fish right during the export process. And so we made the hard decision a while ago that we're just not bringing in any more of those amazing West African tetras because we can't find a supplier currently that right now there's a real rough supply chain over there to get those fish. It's difficult to get to their location, the locations where they're collected. There's not a lot of infrastructure. They're very remote, jungly areas. There's armed, I don't know, bandits, for lack of a better word, groups of bandits wandering these areas, different factions, armed factions in all these areas. There are violent corporations like that have staked out areas that have rare minerals and things, and if you enter those places, you're likely to get killed by the corporations that are raping and pillaging the earth over there. And by the way, I'm not trying to be an activist. Don't read that into this. I have no issue with us using our resources if it's done responsibly and if we don't destroy entire river systems by polluting so much while we're doing it, and don't abuse the people whose labor just are working in horrific conditions over there in the Congo area. So I'm not an expert on any of this, but from what I've heard and seen, it's really, really rough over there. So trying to get to the fish, collect them, get them to an export location, and then get them exported to us is very difficult. And so that, and the fact that the industry overall, not just in West Africa, but overall, all over the world, just, it's amazing how poor a job this industry does in general, even with the best technology and stuff, even with modern everything, how difficult people find it to responsibly transport fish, export fish, supply people like us with fish. So people that have all the resources in the world struggle. Imagine how difficult it's going to be in those really challenging areas. So for all those reasons and others that I'm sure I know nothing about, it's really difficult to get fish from those areas that have been treated responsibly. They come in horrible shape, and it's just it's just flat out inhumane. And so until we can find a supplier who is able to get them in a humane manner and get them to us in a way where we feel like the fish aren't just being straight up abused, then we're not going to bring in more of those fish. which is a bummer because I love them. They are so unique. We're talking about a region that is second only to the Amazon. It's a massive rainforest. But as far as like waterways and potential for species diversification and this vibrant habitat full of amazing fish, it's like second only to the Amazon, this area, for tropical fish. And there's so many cool things out there that we just don't really have access to or responsible access to. Okay, Coro Works. I know you specialize in freshwater and not planning on branching into saltwater anytime soon, but do you have setups in place for brackish or other special water types? I do not. The way our system works, for those that might not know, we have a lot of videos on this if you want to know more detail, but basically there's a creek right over there, right behind the computer monitor through that window that runs behind our building on the back of our property. We take water from that creek, clean it up, run it through our aquariums, clean it up, and return it to the creek. So we are using this constant flow through system. The tanks get, I don't know, 100% water change every hour or two, let's say, depending on how open their valve is to that tank, depending on the flow we have assigned to that tank. And so that's what we want, constant, clean, fresh water. In order to do brackish water, I'd have to take that tank off that system, add salt to it to keep it at the right salt concentration, and I couldn't run the system. I couldn't have clean, fresh water continually flowing into that tank. And so we built a very specialized building to provide constant, clean, fresh water to all of our aquariums. And it would kind of be like throwing all that out the window to be able to keep brackish. Now, one day, maybe we'll do some of that. But today's not the day. Johnny says, Dan doesn't like balloon rams, but likes balloon mollies. That's true. I know, it's strange, but balloon mollies are one of my favorite live bears. I think the reason they became my favorite one of my favorites is because when I was working in the pet industry at mom and pop shops and even wholesalers and stuff, we'd bring in mollies, and frequently there'd be problems with the sail fins and the black sphenops and all those. It'd be constant issues. The fish that had the least issues in my experience were the balloon mollies. So I'd be going down the molly section, just fixing problem after problem after problem, and I get to the balloon mollies and they're happy and swimming around and begging for food and saying hello. And so I think that's why I kind of fell in love with them a little bit, because for some weird reason, you would think a balloon molly would have more problems than your standard molly, but in my experience, they're actually pretty darn hardy. I also like that they stay smaller, they don't get as big, and they're not as aggressive as some of your standard mollies. So I know it's weird, you wouldn't think that. If you know me, you wouldn't think that, but I do like balloon mollies. I wonder if the balloon rams are going to grow on me. I don't know. But today, okay. So I was walking by that tank today, and they were all out front, all beautifully colored, all swimming around, begging for food. And I was like, oh no. I actually think I like you a little bit right now. Fish story. Hey, Alex, have you seen the koi ram? They're white or platinum, German blue ram, but have that red head and resemble angelfish times goldfish. I've seen them on the lists. I've always hesitated to bring them in. I haven't brought them in yet because I've seen a lot of fish variants listed, and you buy them and it's like, oh, these are just like these other things. These aren't special at all. Or, yeah, but they're not fixed at all. It's really, I can't sell these as the thing I was sold them. I can't sell these to my customers under that name because they'll expect this thing that is not represented by the reality of that fish. But if you're telling me that the koi rams, okay, koi German blue ram, are that good, then maybe it'd be worth looking at. Yeah, when I can't even look up a picture of them that's convincing, then it makes me go like, So, but Alex, if you know a source for them, wait, is it this? Is it that? That's kind of cool. Bright red-headed electric blue ram. Is that what we're referring to? Something like that? I bet that's what we're talking about. So far I haven't seen any. If you know a good source, Alex, send me an email. You know how to get a hold of me. Because that is cool. Scotty, the fish freak. Will tiger teddies and least killifish crossbreed? Species name is very similar. I don't know. The tiger teddies are not Heterandria. What is that species name? Neoheterandria. Oh, yeah. But so I really don't know if they would crossbreed or not. Does anyone here know that knows more about those livebearers than I do? I'd like to help you out, Scotty, but never had any experience with that. Leo.298 Aquatics. Note to self, never surprise your cross-river puffer with a net trying to take out a piece of soldier fly larvae without him knowing that guy freaked me out and splashed me so hard. Yeah. Yeah, they'll straight up drench you, for sure. Yes. Any large fish, mouth can do that to me too. My dragon puffer. Any large fish can do that. By the way, fingers crossed for mouth. Something happened. This is the first time in my... she was a big fish when I got her. And I've had her for, 6 years? 5 years? I can't remember, for quite a long time. But this is the first time in all that time that she's ever scared me health-wise. So she got some white on her back. Don't know for sure if it's columnaris or not, but we treat it as if it was, and it seems to be a lot better. So hopefully we got it, and mouth continues to soldier on. Because puffers like that really do become pets. They're neat little fish, little puppy dogs. But I think mouth is out of the woods. I think she's doing much, much better. But for a while there, it was a little scary. Andrew Wang. In my 8-foot discus tank, I have issues with the sand getting dirty, even as soon as the next day after cleaning. I have 13 sterbies, 2 coleys. They don't get eaten. Any suggestions? Yes. My best luck keeping sand nice and clean is to put flow across the sand. So in my 125 gallon that used to be behind me in the live streams, in one corner, I had a power head, and that blew right over the sand. And in the other corner, opposite the power head, there was a weir. So it would basically blow the sand across the bottom, and then it kind of go up and get sucked into the weir, which was full of filter floss, and overflow basically full of filter floss. And so all the stuff just got pushed over the sand and up and filtered out, got collected there. And I just have to change that filter floss occasionally. And that kept the water crystal clear and kept all the detritus and stuff off the sand. And I had a nice thick sand bed on there. So that would be my best suggestion, Andrew, which would just be play with flow. Get some nice flow going right across the bottom to kind of keep that stuff swept up. The cories will get it out of the sand and kind of get it up a little bit, but it'll just settle right back down unless something's going to sweep it away with some current. JTI Aquatics, could you keep Amapa tetras and rummy nose tetras together? Absolutely. The Amapa tetras are super peaceful. They're not going to pick on the rummy nose, and I don't think rummy nose would pick on them. We have our Amapa tetras with some long-finned albino red-white guppies, and they don't nip their fins or anything. So really good peaceful companion tetra in our experience. Yeah, I would definitely put like 2 big groups of those together. I think would be an amazing looking aquarium. Don't forget to mention the 4th of July stuff. Thank you, Johnny. So we are going to have another 4th of July event. We had one last summer and it was super fun and enough people showed up. It wasn't a complete bust. In fact, it was surprised me how many people came out to Sheridan, Wyoming for that. So the way the month is going to shape out, I'm going to share my calendar with you here. It's this little side calendar. Is the 4th of July is on Thursday. So obviously we can't ship fish Wednesday because then they wouldn't move Thursday, right? And they get stuck, they get delayed. So what we thought we would do is have a barbecue here at Dan's Fish. You can come over, spend a day or two with us on the 5th and the 6th. I figure most people will have to work on Wednesday, but they'll be off the 4th, could come over, and then that could be a travel day. Friday and Saturday, the 5th and the 6th, hang out with us, because I figure most people will have those 2 days off. And then another travel day on Sunday if you need to get back home. So we're going to open our doors the 5th and the 6th of July. Details to come, but if you need to pre-plan, I'm trying to give you time that you can do that. So that's the plan. We're going to do it right now, loosey-goosey again. Show up, we'll feed you. We'll have a barbecue going. There's plenty of fish to look at here. I think you could get lost in here for a couple days easily. If last summer is any indication, there'll be plenty of other fish nerds too that you can sit around and talk with and nerd out on fish. And something we didn't do last year, but that I think would be simple to do is if people are like, yeah, we've seen a lot of fish, we want to do something else, is take you up to the Big Horn Mountains and maybe get you a sighting of a moose. I have yet to take someone up there as dusk is falling and not see a moose. Now, I'm sure it'll happen, but so far, every time I've taken someone up there to see a moose, we've seen at least one, if not several, along with herds of elk. Of course, we'll see deer, lots of deer. But so that is something you can put on your calendar if you would like to come here, see the warehouse, see our, what I think is really cool, kind of innovative system, and hang out with some fish nerds. And we'll do that this time, see how it grows. And if that goes well, then the following year we might make an event of it. We might have some speakers. We might rent some, see if we can get some housing for people at the local college. There's plenty of hotels and stuff, but if you're on a budget and you don't mind dorm style living, then I think we get a younger crowd here. We can rent some of the dorms for your housing for that event. So we might make it a bit of a bigger deal in the future, but right now, just kind of testing the water, kind of starting small, casual and fun, and seeing where it goes from there. Maybe not. Maybe it's just good to have a party, but I don't know. You get a bunch of fish nerds together, I feel like you kind of want to have interesting topics they can listen to, and maybe eventually some raffles and all that stuff that events usually have. Okay, Kayla's Reptiles and Aquatics, throwing down a Pippi long stocking, putting some pep in my step. Hey, Bob. Thanks for being here. Thanks for doing what you do every week. Thanks for all your support behind the scenes. And thanks for the years you've been doing that. We very much appreciate you. Van Dusen says, thanks. Hey, you're very welcome. Fish story. I currently have Pseudogastromyzon with red and blue and yellow tails and dorsals. Woo! I posted photos on my Facebook, but can't get a species name, sadly. Oh, man. That sounds amazing. There's so many cool ones that we haven't seen. It's like back in the day when all you kind of had was common plecos and maybe a bushy nose here and there and a couple other things, right? And then suddenly the pleco world went boom. Like all these L numbers were found and entered the hobby, and a whole sub hobby developed of just pleco keepers. Hillstream loaches is going to be the same way. There's so much out there that we just don't have yet. I see this one. Kylish says, anyone going to the Fin Dig in Sacramento? It's the Sacramento Aquarium Society. They have a link for the group right on their website. Hey, if you're within a couple of hours or so of that event, I would highly recommend it. That's the club I grew up in. That's where I attended as a wee tyke. I know a lot of those people, and I don't know where it's going to be, but if is it going to be at Pam Chin's again? Because if so, there's a whole massive warehouse basically there full of amazing fish to look at. Spoiled Sushi, can you get the blueberry snails? I can look at that. I've got some plans for inverts. There's some things we're going to do with inverts. It's going to be a little while yet, but that is something I want to get more into. Okay, Knox, Magula ADA 8. ADA? Yeah. Adaya? Adaya? I think it's Adie. Like attaboy? Adie? Yeah, anytime soon. I plan for the first off, I think there might be just a few more stragglers in that tank. And by stragglers, I don't mean they're in bad shape. I just mean that haven't been sold yet. There might be just a few. Johnny, is that true? Do we have just a few more of the Magilla over there? I think we might. But if we're well and truly completely sold out, I do plan to bring more in from that supplier. I'm just waiting for the weather to mellow out a bit. So that supplier ships fish double-decker. There's 2 layers of bags. And the problem with that in the cold weather is there's no good way to heat the bottom layer. If it's packed like they pack, really tight. So you can put the heat packs up on the lid, right? And that top layer will get nice and toasty, but the bottom layer will stay cold. Okay, just put heat packs underneath the bottom layer. Well, you do that, and if they actually heat, then that top layer is sandwiched between 2 layers of heat and can get too hot. But what more often happens is those bottom heat packs don't work. They get smothered, they get wet, any leakage ends up on them, and it just takes a tiny bit of moisture to kill a heat pack. And I've just never found a good way to keep fish warm when they're tightly packed, 2 layers high, in a big wholesale bag. Like if it's small little bags, maybe you can, but yeah. So gotta wait till the weather warms up, and then I've got an order. I mean, I was in contact with them earlier this week and last week, so I've got an order ready to go. Just waiting for the weather to cooperate. Divide by 0. I love it. Have you got the Congo spotted puffers eating your simulated snail foods yet? Just asking. We aren't feeding them a lot of that because they don't have the beak issues. But they'll eat like Vibrobites. They'll eat all kinds of stuff. But I keep meaning to do that. But then every time I'm going to go do that and put forth the effort to do that, I'm like, why? Their beaks are not overgrowing. So I end up just not doing it because other things are more pressing on my time. So I haven't got them doing that yet. But I have to say, I've never seen a Congo spotted puffer that needed a beak trim. I don't know if anyone here has kept one and had the need for that, but they don't appear to be a species whose beak overgrows a ton. What say you? Have you had a Congo spotted puffer, anyone in the chat, and had beak problems? Because so far, I've never had to trim a Congo spotted puffer beak. Now, Amazon puffers are a different story. They're like hamsters. You know how a hamster's teeth grow continually, and you have to keep them worn down or trim them? Amazon puffers, yes, definitely. Mike Collins, I'm thinking about getting electric blue Acaras for my 75-gallon that currently houses 3 angels, cardinal tetras, and rummy nose tetras. Do you think the EBAs will eat the tetras? Eventually, yeah. When the EBAs are full grown, I think they'll be big enough to eat the tetras. They're peaceful. They're not going to bother a fish that they can't eat, but if it can fit in their mouth and they can chomp it, I think they will. And with time, I think they'll get big enough. All right, Any Fish Will Do gifted 1 Dance Fish membership. Any Fish Will Do, thank you. Thanks for gifting that. We really appreciate it when new members join us, and that helps in that effort. Only Oscars, hey, thanks for joining up, Only Oscars. Thanks for being part of the club. David Allen, when are you bringing in new, hang on, rewind. When you bring in new fish, do you stop the flow through process to ensure meds don't get flushed out? Yeah, while we're medicating, of course, yeah. It's really simple. I just turn a valve. I mean, so during medication, we shut off all the flow. Otherwise, what would be the point even of medicating? All the medicine would just get washed out within an hour. Geek boy, good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Better to do a Dance Fish chat room meetup in Sheridan, Wyoming, say around July 4th. Oh, yeah. Hope you can make it again, Geek boy. It was so fun to see you last year. And man, last year was such a whirlwind. One of my regrets about last year is I actually didn't get to spend very much time with you. So hopefully this year, if you come up, we can actually talk a little more. Okay, I'm scrolling here because chat jumped, and I'm trying to find the next comment that I can see if I scroll up all the way. Okay, this is as far up as it allows me to go. Mike says, is there anything with the color glow, like neon, green neon, and cardinal tetras? Any rare tetras like that you know of? Oh, okay, that have that kind of that super iridescence on the red and such? No, I wouldn't say there's any type like that I would consider very rare. I mean, there are different types of like glow light tetras that are kind of hard to find. But if you're talking about that color scheme with the red on the bottom, the blue on the top, and that brilliant neon color, specifically kind of that, then no, I don't know any. Leo, hope you're doing well, Leo. I hope she gets better soon, Dan. I got myself a red Congo puffer. Oh, congratulations. That's amazing. And she's already doing so much better. But there's always that period when you're treating fish where sometimes they do better and you think everything's going to be okay. But then suddenly out of nowhere, seemingly, they take a turn for the worse. So I'm just crossing my fingers to hope that doesn't happen. Oh, the albino pygmy. Are we talking about the albino pygmy Corey? Lady R, hang on. Okay, I just found this online shop in Mill Creek, Washington that sells a few species of fish, including albino pygmy Corys. Did anyone know an albino strain existed? I did not know until last week when I talked to my main Corydora and Pleco breeder, and he had some. So that's one of the fish I'll be bringing in when the weather gets nicer. The albino pygmy Cory. Yep, first time I've ever seen them available or ever knew they existed. So I'm with you, Lady R. I had no idea until very recently. Mike, do you plan on adding information about the fish on the individual pages so your site can double as a resource for information? Yes and no. I don't plan on competing with Seriously Fish or Planet Catfish or any of that, or some of the cichlid pages. I just don't think a fish store can do that. But I do want to have more information on our listings. We're constantly trying to flesh out our listings and failing just because we run out of time. It takes me a long time to write those listings because I'm trying to be accurate. So I need to make sure everything I say is true, which means often I need to do some research. And my background is in academia. It hurts my soul to put out false information. So I endlessly fact check myself whenever possible. So it takes me quite a while. And time is scarce. Right now, the big goal is twofold. Well, threefold. We're getting these machines up and running to help with operations, make it more efficient, make sure that folks aren't just spending like 12 hours a week doing really silly repetitive tasks like putting labels on bags, right? So that's one. Two is trying to hire a fish health specialist, someone who can come in and take the daily care of the fish, feeding the fish, for example, off our hands, can make sure the fish have the right amount of flow, make sure the fish have adequate cover if they're one that needs to hide, the environment they need, and also diagnose and treat disease. So basically care for the fish and treat them. So we're looking for that person. And with operations getting more efficient. That's freeing up my time a little bit. And with this person coming in to help with caring for the fish and medicating fish, that will free up some of my time. And what I'm trying to do right now is create more content. I want to create more YouTube content. I want to make sure our newsletter actually goes out somewhat regularly. I'd love to do something for the members specific to them. And with that, hopefully find time to do, to flesh out the listings, the information on our website. I know it's lacking. But thankfully, there are other places like Seriously Fish and Planet Catfish and such where we can find information on species. So it'll never be the well of information they are, I don't think, but I'd love to have some basic info on there. Stacy Hart, what's a good fish with some color that can live with long fin leopard danios and a sunset gourami? With some color. I have a few flagfish and dwarf shrimp in there. With a 12-inch dojo, it's a 60-gallon. The flagfish aren't nipping the long fin leopard danios, huh? Well, I guess those leopard danios are just super fast, so that makes sense. Something that I think you should look into is pencil fish. Some of the coral red pencil fish or purple pencil fish, or if you don't mind spending a little cash, there's some amazing bright red pencil fish out there. Those would go well with all of that, I think. That's where my mind goes. I think a nice big group of Beck 40 pencil fish would be nice. You could also go the route of like platies. Some of the brightly colored platies would be fine, and those are not very expensive. What else? So you're looking for kind of bright color, I imagine, from your comment. I start with platies. They're not real expensive, and there's some amazing amazing color variations. There's neat species too. All right, I think it's time to do this here drawing. Let's draw a winner because we have 433 people here and it's 8:25. We better get on it. So, if you would like to win a group of at least 6 Kuhli loaches, there are 317 eligible users. 19. Wow, it's just going up. I'm going to do that drawing right now. And the winner is Wooden Aquanut. Wooden. There we go. Wooden Aquanut. You have won. You have 2 minutes to chime in and let us know you're here to claim your winnings. In order to do that, all you have to do, 2-minute timer, is put a comment in chat. Any old comment in chat will do, just to let us know that you are here. And in 2 minutes or so, we'll check back. And if you have done that, then congrats, you'll have won. If you haven't done that, then you forfeit your winnings and we will draw somebody else. Okay, Mountaintop Puffer Keeper. Ever run stir-by unheated? 2 survivors of the 3-day power failure last March have been running and breeding and no heat since here. Wow, I've never run them unheated. Well, I've never run them in a tank that didn't have a heater or a fish room that wasn't heated. Sometimes the tanks didn't have heaters. But I haven't kept them cold, no. And that's good to know. I always was under the impression that Corey liked it warmer, because that's one of the species that people often keep with discus at those warmer temperatures. But what do I know? Maybe during the rainy season, maybe it gets cool sometimes in their habitat. Kate Hull, howdy. Well, howdy right back. Any chance of a goby stock refresh? Yes, but mainly that's going to also have to wait until the weather warms up a little bit. Same reason. Carlos Diaz, I have 20 rummy nose and 12 Congo tetras and a 60 with mollies. Be okay or not? Yeah, probably. I don't know what kind of mollies you have, but I think in general that combination should work together. Now, I have to put in the caveat that you never know what any individual fish is going to do. But I think that the mollies are going to be fine with them. And I don't think the mollies will get their fins nipped, and I think both those species are fast enough swimmers that the mollies aren't going to pick on them. So I think the odds are real good, Carlos. I would try that combination. 2-minute timer is up, and all right, wooden aqua nut. Why is that so hard for me to say? Wooden aqua nut. There we go, is here. Congrats, wooden aqua nut. Please send us an email to hello@dansfish.com. That's HELLO@dansfish.com. We need your first name, your last name, and your mailing address so we can send these fish to you. Do that, and we will figure out a good time to ship to you. Xanadu also gifted 5 Dance Fish memberships. Thank you so much, Xanadu. Much appreciated. And I hope you're doing really well. Hope your water is fantastic. Andy Hawkins says, I'm headed to Aquashella Dallas this year. Awesome. Sounds like a great time. Any advice on getting the most of it? Can we say hi if you're going? Of course you can say hi if I'm going, but I'm not going. I won't be there, but anytime you ever see me out and about or whatever, always feel free to come on up. I don't mind at all. And any advice to get the most from it? The thing that I do that's helped me the most when I go to these events, I'm a little different than a lot of people. I want to go for information. I want to learn. I also want to hang out with people. But what draws me is the lectures, the talks, the presentations. Because you get a chance there to really rub elbows with true experts in certain areas of this hobby, and you can learn stuff. And I love doing that. So what I do is I get the schedule of events, and then I get my phone, and I look at all the events and what overlaps and what can I do, and I just make my own personal schedule. Here's the things I really want to hit, and I build those into my calendar. And that way, I make sure that I don't miss anything that I would regret. So that was my biggest point of advice at events like that. Just make your own personal schedule off their master schedule, program it into your phone, and have that guide you. And then anything in between, you can go do other stuff. And it's nice to if there is time between, it's nice to have a little downtime where you can go check something out or just on a whimsy go try something. So it is nice to schedule a little downtime as well. You'll run into someone, get a conversation going, and that's really cool. So yeah, that's my best advice. Make your own personal schedule in advance and lock it into your phone so it's with you. All right, it is 8:30. Well, boy howdy did today fly by. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. How long have I been on the wrong screen? Jeez. I don't have a producer or anything to keep me on track. So sometimes yeah, like, hey, look at this pretty fish, and I'm showing everything, and then I look back and it's like, oh, I wasn't showing that at all. The struggle is real, I tell you. All right, let's shut this down. I want to thank my moderators for being here and for moderating. I want to thank all the members of the Fishmonger crew. Thanks for being members of the channel. And everyone that gifted memberships tonight, that's amazing. That is super helpful. We very much appreciate it. Thanks for the super chats. Always appreciated, never required, but every little bit helps. Where am I at? Oh yeah, if you were active in the chat, thanks for being active. Thanks for making it a lively discussion. If you weren't active in the chat and you were lurking, all hail the Lurker Nation. I usually lurk as well, so I get it. If you're watching on the replay, hello from the past. If you're listening to the podcast, that I'm so behind on posting episodes to the podcast. But if you are listening to the podcast, thanks for your patience. I finally got them posted. Thanks for listening. Until then, be well. I'll see you next time. We'll be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Bye-bye. I think enough time has gone by that I can push the button. Let's do it.